Good evening, everybody. I'll start this meeting at 7 o'clock. Welcome to Public Services. We've got a fair few bits to go through tonight, so we'll crack on with that. With public participation. Do we have any questions?
Mr. Berry would like to ask a question.
Mr. Berry?
Thank you, Chair. The Modality Partnership, which operates Ship Street and Judges Close surgeries, have recently migrated patient records onto the Crawley Down Health Centre's computer system. However, this has led to some East Grinstead residents being told by telephone, visit or make appointments with the Crawley Down practice as they are registered there. Are the councillors aware of this? And can the Town Council please engage with the Modality Partnership to agree and produce clear communications to reduce confusion and allay fears that East Grinstead residents will be requested to deal with Crawley Down instead of their local practices in future? Thank you.
Thank you. This is fairly new news to me, so and I know the Town Clerk has got some further information, so can I ask you to answer that one for me, please?
I don't have the full answer for you, Frank, at the moment.
No, that's fine.
What I can tell you is that it's possible that because Modality has 3 of the practices in the town, including Crawley Down practice, it's not unusual to think that they might be starting to share their data and create one database. What I would expect will happen, but we will ask questions and find out, is that whilst it will all come from one central point, I would have thought that residents of East Grinstead would be able to ask for their appointment at Ship Street or Judges rather than having to go to over to Crawley Down. But we can ask that question and get the answer for that. And if they do say that the intention is people have got to go to Crawley Down, we can raise that as a concern and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Happy, Chair?
Thank you. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Town Clerk. I believe we have one further question.
We do, which I think you have.
I have. I'll start that. Would you mind? It's from Leo, and it's with the noticeable amount of construction traffic on local roads, not to mention should Standard Landfill get the go-ahead, what proactive action will East Grinstead Town Council take with the collaboration of West Sussex County Council and Mid Sussex District Council to monitor the agreed routes, the public safety, and reinforce the need for considerate driving behaviour that would minimise, intimidate, or the speeding drivers. Obviously, that's in response. Any problems we are aware of, we would obviously notify Mid Sussex and West Sussex, and obviously the police. And any evidence of speeding, wrongdoing, or anything along those lines, we would also ask any evidence to be passed to the police or to come to us, and we will do what we can. But I know, Rex, you're involved in this as well. So
thank you, Chairman. Yes, in answer to the question, what proactive response to the Town Council do? Last week I had the first of a series of meetings with the project manager, Robin, at the Linden home site at Hill Place Farm, in regards to the planning conditions, the construction progress to date, the construction management plan, the supervision of the construction management plan, any complaints to date that they've had. And that will be a series of ongoing meetings, probably every 2 months, but if it demands more frequency meetings, then I'll do that. That's the arrangement I've got with him and Linden. I've been in dialogue with Linden since they got planning consent, well over a year ago, in regard to clearance of planning conditions. I have to say, I do watch the site closely, probably not as close as you do, Frank, because I know you live in Hurst Farm Road, but I know they have a mechanical road sweeper, for instance, as an example, which they use. They're going to create 2 builders' compounds at the top of the hill on the site, which will include all car parking, as another example, and they are very mindful of any public concerns, and that they're proactive in allaying those. So, in regards to the Standard landfill site, I know Councillor Gibson spoke at the last planning meeting because I sat in on that. I think it's due to come up again in September. And I know that further work was being done by the County Council in regard to the traffic plan and the traffic routes and any options there too. I need to see Councillor Gibson just to get an update on that. But we are watching both from the Town Council, both of those sites very closely to see any developments.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, are there any further questions?
No, that's all we need, actually.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, let's move on to apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, we had apologies from the town mayor and the deputy town mayor, who are both unable to attend this evening, and we had apologies from Councillor Belsey, who had a conflict of meetings this evening.
Okay. Do we accept Councillor Belsey's absence? Can we vote on that, please?
Yeah, really.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now to move on to item 3, to receive the minutes of the meetings held on the 11th of March and 5th of May. I'd like to take these or approve these for accuracy. May I have a, I'd like to propose them. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Can we please vote on that for accuracy? And
Thank you very much. You can sign, please, Chair.
here.
Yes, please, you can sign that one. Turn the page. And the initial next one. And the initials on each page until you get to the point that you have to sign.
Is that
We'll do them. We'll do them another time.
Do another time. Could be a while.
Before it's up to date, but we'll do them another time.
no problem at all? Okay, so now on to the chairman's updates. So there's a few items. West Sussex highways. There's been complaints about the work on the London Road, about the barriers being in the road, which have passed on to SNG and West Sussex County Council. Complaints are also received about the works on College Lane. Initially, this was not shown on the West Sussex County Council's highways map. This is added after we complained and about the temporary lights being there already for weeks. On further complaint, 3 weeks after the lights appeared and no work, it has been advised that the work needed are due to the expansion on the bridge needing attention and concerns as of the weight bearing. The works are needed scheduled to be completed by the 31st, but despite West Sussex updating the start date, this is yet to be advised. We all know they're still there at the moment, so wait to see what happens there. The roundabout at West Hill has been escalated to the County Council to ask for repairs, for which have been going on for many months and now undertaken, which I'm slightly concerned about with all the traffic and the lorries going around that may end up being damaged again. The railings on the High Street roundabout have also been referred to the County Council. This area is in a conservation area and we are keen to have the railings repaired. They are regularly hit by lorries turning into West Street. We have suggested that rather than railings, that they replaced with similar posts, which can be in keeping with the High Street, act as a protective safety barrier, but withstand the lorries turning. The tree in front of Tommy Flynn's has been vandalised, with half of the tree being removed. This was not undertaken by West Sussex, nor with the Town Council's knowledge, and the chrysalis lights in the tree have therefore been ruined. I have seen that tree. It does look very out of shape and very concerning. Mid Sussex, the play days did not come to East Grinstead this year. They went to Ashurst Wood, Crawley Down in the north, along with 2 times Havers Heath, Cookfield, Burgess Hill, Hassocks, and in the south of the district. We have expressed our disappointment that East Grinstead was not included. We are told that the district councillors are able to nominate their areas for events, and Ashurst Wood and Crawley Down were nominated. The district council ran at the Skate Fest at King George's Field in August, which was well attended. And I believe Councillor Whitaker went there, and it did, and some fantastic stuff on social media. I saw it there as well. The District Council did leave some verges wilding this year. There were some complaints early in the season. However, many people were keen on the biodiversity. The verges along Chequermead Car Park, Vicarage Walk, overgrown with stinging nettles and overreaching the walkways, and the vegetation at Moat Road obstructing the King Centre sign have all been referred to District Council as not being well kept and asking for attention. The Vicarage Walk seems to have had a half swathe which is not attractive, and the walkways are still affected by the nettles. District councillors for Town Ward have had this brought to their attention. I do know I have a ward member down there that's very concerned about that, so that's good to know that's been passed up the chain. District Council have advised that they are working with the government and the County Council regarding resettling of Afghan refugees. We will not be told if, when, or how many Afghan refugees are resettling East Grinstead, as they will need to be settled into their new surroundings and are entitled to privacy during this difficult time for them. I think we can all agree they've had a bit of a tough go at the moment, and we would happily support them. Virgin Media have changed their community liaison of contact from Lisa Howe to Stephanie. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Fullest. Thank you very much. The car has the contact details if anybody needs them. Does anyone have any questions on my update or any previous minutes? Councillor Whitaker.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll just pick up on some of the highways matters. At the previous meeting, I think it was on the 5th of May, when the leader of the county council was in attendance. I think it was minuted that we would try to get the new cabinet member, Councillor Joy Dennis, to make a visit to East Grinstead, principally to look at the junction at the A264 and 22. But given the quite long list of highways matters that you raised, I wondered if we could try that again. I don't know if the Town Clerk made any progress with contacting Councillor Dennis.
We haven't had any details of when she's going to come or what meeting she's going to attend, but the intention is to get her down here. I'll push it again.
Yeah, if you could,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you. I think that's a well-needed visit. I think we all know how.
It specifically raised at last meeting a meeting as such.
Right, so we'll
In the
get.
presence of their leaders.
Right, let's get that action, because we need East Grinstead to take some action. Okay, moving on then to receive members' declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest?
Not at the moment.
No?
We'll see how
No.
the meeting goes.
Okay, we'll leave that one.
Debate.
Okay, item 6, West Sussex Child Early Help Service. We have had a very good report on this. An update on the final decision from West Sussex County Council and what that means for East Grinstead families needing help. This is in the report. We did speak to Jackie Russell to attend, we didn't ask Jackie Russell to attend, as the report is very good and gives us lots of detail, being with the decision. However, Jackie will be attending the next meeting for a general update on child services. Anybody got any questions or on that? I think
Just a confirmation of the detail. The report mentions some 43 centres going down to 12 across the county. Has that happened, or is that still in a consultation stage?
It's past consultation. That's now been approved. It might still be in the calling period. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know if County Councillor Mrs. Bennett can just help with that one.
Thank you very much.
So Bennett, if you
Town
could.
Clerk, thank you. Yes, so at this present time, the decision has been made to turn 43 into 12. That is still going through and being worked on. Obviously, that's not something that's going to happen overnight. It may, I don't know whether we're still in the calling phase or not, but it will go through the proper process. This is a really good report, so a lot of information is in here. But just to explain that early help is a very different type of service to what parents and carers would enjoy going to at the family centre in Blackwell Farm Road. So early help it's a dedicated service for families that are going through perhaps some troubles and difficult times. and it's something that supports them without the need to go on to social services. So this can sometimes be quite a personal and private issue for families. So I do think coming out of the family centre and having a dedicated service that's one-to-one, maybe in the home or in a place of choosing, can be more beneficial for the user. But the services that we have been enjoying at Blackwell Farm Road at the Family Centre, some of those may continue. There's a possibility that the school may take that on and that some of those services will stay. Obviously, that needs to be properly agreed between whoever does take on that. But just to reassure the committee, because it sounds quite worrying at first, but then when you hear the detail, you can understand it a little bit more.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Yes, I have spoken to somebody about this myself, and they said that the people that are most in need aren't the people that go to these centres. So the money that is saved or redirected would actually be used to help those who don't go down for a coffee and a chat, the people that actually really do need the help. So I know it's controversial, but I think it's going to help those who really need it, which is what we really do need. So thank you for your assistance on that. Item 7, police matters. Upsetting that we don't have anybody here to talk to and that we can discuss their approach with. We do have a report, and the report picks up on things that we know about, in addition to a number of neighbourhood policing teams, and the request in attendance to answer the questions. But I think it would be nice here to ask some questions and get some responses from them. I know there's things like catalyst converter problems and so on and so forth, which they are trying to work on, but I know of somebody that had their van stolen recently, and it'd be interesting to see what they're trying to do about that. But Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, it is disappointing that we don't have a representative of our policing team here tonight. I understand they must all be very busy, but we do have some important questions and updates that would be really nice to hear from them. I understand that there seems to be some sort of community hubs that they're looking at.
Yes. Maybe
coming into the community to speak to people in a hub form around the town, which in one hand sounds lovely, but I really hope that's not at the detriment of our policing station, where we have a public access point, which is very beneficial to the town. Just recently, the front of house gentleman, Peter, I can't remember his surname, but he's given many years of loyal service to East Winstead Police Station when it was still here at East Court, and then subsequently when it moved to Checkermead. So I would like to propose a vote of thanks to him for all that he's done for our community in East Winstead.
I would propose that. Can we have a second for that? And vote on that? Definitely. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Whitaker.
Sorry,
Councillor
sorry, just a couple of quick ones. Yeah, I echo Councillor Bennett's comments. I would say though that this is the first public services committee for years and years where we haven't had a police presence. So to be very fair to Sergeant Boyd and Inspector Taylor and Inspector Dominic for that, they've had a superb record in attending here. So I think we'll let them off once because they are pretty busy and could well be on holiday or catching up. There was a lot of police leave that been cancelled recently. So, but if you want to know a very good communication medium for both of those police officers, it's through Twitter. Anybody's on Twitter, go on to Mid Sussex Police. Inspector Taylor tweets at least twice a day. It's always very interesting across the district to pick up. He tweets usually about some odd hour, sort of 3 in the morning before he goes off. But they are very active. It's clear they're very active in a range of all sorts of things. But particularly, and with the public gallery we've got here tonight, they are policing road speeding and generally road behaviour across the district. Have been over the summer quite aggressively. So I think if we can get them to the next public services committee, I think that would be good.
That'd be great. And we were hoping that a PCSO might be here just to give us the general update of how they're getting on, how they're feeling there and being received in the community and so on. So that's what we were hoping. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it tonight. So, Councillor Reynolds.
Yes, in the report, the police were arguing for a public space protection order around East Court. Why do they want to put one of those in place? And is it primarily because of the noise as opposed to the presence of, I assume, young teenagers?
I believe it's off the back of COVID and the fact that we have had gatherings, but also the fact of when we're not supposed to have them, but also the fact that when they are having gatherings that are rowdy, causing issues and yes, generally upsetting people and causing problems. So they wanted to be able to have the power to ask people to move on without any further action, really. But Town Clerk, you may have a little bit more to add to that.
No, I think that's pretty much it, Chairman. Initially, what was suggested, which I put in the report, is that the PSPO would be district-wide, so it would stop any gatherings, or in other words, the police would have the power to move people on. They don't have the power to move people on. The PCSOs have very limited powers indeed. So they can't enforce breaking up a group and moving people on. The existence of a PSPO, Public Space Protection Order, does allow them to move people on. So that's one of the things they were looking to do, and they wanted to do it across the district in order to help to deal with antisocial behaviour. There've been a lot of complaints about people gathering, particularly during the pandemic lockdowns. And to be very fair, the conversations had started before the pandemic, so it wasn't just brought out because of that. However, that's not allowed, and so they've now got to go for individual areas. And we have a particular problem with the base of East Court. It's not necessarily the town council area of East Court. Yes, down there. It's the car park, which is where they put the CCTV. And Mount Noddy is another area where there have been problems, but that seems to have lightened off of late. So the district council are still working with the police to decide which areas they're going to look at, but they are still looking to take something forward, and we're just waiting to hear what it is.
I'll come back on that.
Please.
I think this is something we as a committee should be worried about, because it is an assault on civil liberties, because it's allowing the police to break up free associations of people without having to give a justification. Now, I can quite understand you have a number of teenagers down there, they're making a lot of noise and they're smoking drugs, that the law should be enforced. But law is currently available to sort those out, or at least it should be. But this is just giving a blank check to the police to break up any group whatsoever, especially if it's to be put in place across the district, which I understand it can't be. And I think that is giving far too much power to the police. And I understand that people think, oh, you're being alarmist, nothing's going to happen in Britain. But every single time the state sees too much power and then use that for evil ends, everybody has always said before that evil has emerged, oh, it wouldn't happen here. And I think we should be very, very careful about allowing the police such blanket power. And for that reason, I would oppose a public space protection order down at East Court. I think if the police want to break people up for being too noisy and disturbing neighbours, that's perfectly fine. And that should be dealt with properly, but not this public space protection order. I would be against that.
See where you're coming from on that. I think as from the conversations I've seen and spoken to them about, I believe it is for the rowdiness. It is not that you get a group of 15 mums or whatever, and then they say, we can't be here or that, or adults training or anything along those lines. Or it's for anybody that is causing a disturbance that is making other people's lives unfair or affecting other people's lives.
Could I ask a question on that?
You may, and then we'll move on, please.
Is there not law in place currently that allows the police to stop individuals making noise? Because you're saying it allows the police to stop individuals from making noise and being rowdy, but if there's law currently in place for that, then there's no need for a public space protection order. The point of the public space protection order is it allows a total blank check to the police. So if they wanted to go and break up 15 mothers having a meeting down there, no, the mothers couldn't say no, we have a right to be here. The police could just move along there. No, the law grants us a right to break up the 15 mothers having a picnic.
I think we need to see what the law says and how it works before we can put on that, because otherwise we are just, you know, it's hearsay and what at the moment we don't know what the law is going to say. We don't know how it's going to be. So at the moment, I think we'll leave it there. We can ask the police that, and then we can come back to that. Okay, so next 8. So consultation to approve or amend the response to the West Sussex travel plan and Gatwick consultants. I'd like to thank Steve Odie, who has sent through his thoughts on Gatwick, and the consultation have been put through through submission. Gatwick 1, page 3 has to be in tomorrow. So ideally, we don't want any big changes. If anybody's got any amendments or thoughts, then we can do that. But we don't want to miss the deadline on that by too many changes. And then in West Sussex 1, page 5, we have a couple of weeks yet. So if there's any final comments, let's get them back into town clerk and do that. I'm happy to propose them as they are, and so I would propose that. And may I have a second?
Sure.
Okay. Any comments? Mr. Ramos, Councillor Ramos?
Yes, in the Gatwick consultation, there is the phrase, and I quote, "Economic benefits should never override health aspects." I think that should be taken out, because I think it just makes us look silly. If you're going to get £10 billion worth of economic output for one person dying as a result of lung cancer, I reckon most cost benefit analysis by economists would say, well, you should allow for the airport to expand. I just think that has to be taken out. And secondly, how is Ashdown Forest affected from aircraft emissions negatively? Because from my understanding of science, if CO2 is put into a forest or something like that, that would actually help green it, because CO2 is a vital ingredient of photosynthesis. So how is the forest affected negatively?
I believe it would be down to the air fuel that can be dumped when the plane's coming into land, rather than the fact that it is CO2. We want the CO2 to be taken up and used for photosynthesis, but we do not want the airplane fuel being dumped over the forest or over the town. But town clerk, do you have anything you'd like to?
I think that's my understanding of it. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Plenty of studies around.
Any councillor?
Yeah, thanks. It's just a comment. Generally, just for the council to be aware, the district council, Mid Sussex District Council, are employing an expert consultant in their response and their continuing monitoring of the Gatwick situation, which I'm sure the town clerk is aware. So if she can make contact with the necessary officer there, and district councillors keep their ears open as to any expert views either way that the consultant comes up with. It's just to be aware of.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Whittaker. Okay, so can we have a show of hands on that one?
So that's to submit as they are.
Yes. So okay. Okay, so back item 9, vaccine rollout, COVID-19 vaccine update. This is for noting. The report is quite straightforward. It does give us a lot of detail. There are some slightly lower figures than I think we'd all like to see around the town. If anyone has any good ideas for a pop-up vaccination centre, then please put them forward to the town clerk. I think we.
Sorry, Chairman, just to give you an update, Checkermead this weekend is actually going to be another pop-up.
Another one. I know that has been, Councillor Bennett, you've been so haven't you?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I am taking a group of young people to
willingly,
by their own free will, yes, to be vaccinated at Checkermead on Saturday. Huge thanks, because every time I get concerned that our residents and our young people aren't going to be able to travel easily to get vaccinated. Suddenly I hear of a pop-up centre in the town so that it's very easy for residents and young people to go along and get vaccinated. So huge thanks to the town clerk and everybody who's pushed for that to happen.
I think
It's been an incredible piece of work that's been done for us, and grateful to everybody who's helped with that.
I second that as well. But, I think also that Chequermead is a great location for it, nice and central. You can't exactly say there's no parking here if you want to get there as well. So,
Chairman, we've also got our police station here at East Court,
yes,
which would also make a fantastic pop-up centre.
let's use that as well.
I think you're going to find, Chairman, that the police station is going to be used as the booster centre, and
Fantastic.
they'll be using 1 day a week at Meridian
Meridian
Hall
Hall as well.
in order to pick up the people who have got mobility issues, because it, unfortunately, you have steps
Yes.
in the police station. But that is certainly what is being negotiated at the moment. I haven't heard it's definitely happening, but I believe that it will be.
Well, it's good to have a plan going forward, so let's hope it does actually happen. Okay, so moving on to item 10, community officer reports. I hope we've all read Alice's report, and don't know if anybody's got any questions on that. But I know Alice is with us. Do we see her and hear her now?
We certainly can do.
And I know she had a few extra bits she wanted to add in.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. I believe you have a few extra bits you wanted to add in.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was just going to make a note of the fact that we have got that pop-up, which has just been mentioned by the town clerk, and to say that we have been advertising that there are free taxi services available for those who can't travel to Haywards Heath or Crawley, for example, to get vaccination, which is organised by the Community Transport Service, and they can just phone up and book that. So it's a fantastic service that's available. Moving on for vaccinations, yeah, we've got the SID, which is been up in town as per the report. So we've got a couple more weeks of that, and then it's coming back to us again in January. So if there are any particular roads that people want to request it on, let us know. Yeah, I've been getting around trying to meet shop owners, EGBA, Chequermead Museum, all sorts of different people, trying to get to know everyone, and those of you in the room who I haven't met yet as well, I hope to meet soon. And we are going to be organising a litter pick on between the 18th and the 20th. I think it's the 26th of September is the Great Green week that we're going to try and do. So if anyone would like to be a part of that for their district, please let me know. That would be really great if you wanted to head up one of our events doing that. And we've also got a community event for teenagers in October half term, which we are organising as well.
Fantastic. Well,
That's everything, unless anyone's got questions.
does anybody have any? Councillor Mock.
Alice, as chairman of the tag team, I'm very pleased to say that we've organised a litter pick for the 19th from St Mary's Church Hall and
Fantastic.
in the Baldwins area.
Fantastic, that's brilliant. That's great to know. Can I ask you to put that on the Great Green Week website? Because anyone who's looking to do any environmental stuff will look on that, and perhaps you'll get some extra people coming along as well.
Excellent.
And perhaps we can talk outside of the meeting about making other dates as well.
Yes.
Thank you, that's great.
Any further questions? Councillor Bennett?
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Hello, Alice.
Hi.
I initially had asked for a SID, a speed indicator device, to be located there was Lingfield Road, but there was also Windmill Lane, which was suffering from some speeding at night time. And that was going to happen, and then unfortunately the device broke, and so it kind of got pushed back, and I wondered if it was still on the list now.
I will double check that. I don't see why we can't put it on the list for the January.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very
For
much.
the January one.
Lovely. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, can I ask if the big reveal event is happening in November?
Yes, it's happening on the 20th of November.
Sorry, it's got two.
Sorry, Alice, that'll be going to A&T, Amenities and Tourism. But yes, is the answer.
So the projected date is the 20th of November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions? Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I have 3 questions. Firstly, how much did Skate Fest cost? Secondly, what is the activity going to be at half term for the teenagers? And thirdly, how much will that cost?
The Skate Fest was organised by Mid Sussex, so I can't tell you what the cost of that was. That was organised by Sally Blackmore. The October event, we are aiming for over 13s, so for teenagers, and it's going to be a kind of a hangout and do some activities. The exact activities haven't been finalised yet, and as soon as they have been, I will be publicising that, and that is coming out of the youth support budget for that. So it's all been budgeted for. Did you have a third question, or have I answered that? Sorry.
How much is it going to be out of the grant, so to subsidise hanging out for teenagers?
Well, it's coming out of the youth support budget, and we're keeping the costs as low as possible. Once I've got everything finalised, I can let you know what that is.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have the final cost for that yet. We've got various
Hanging out costs.
No, I want to address that comment. There is, we've got various quotes and we haven't got it finalised yet exactly what the event's going to cost. It's not a hanging out event. This is going to be something for the youngsters which have not been provided by any other organisation this year. And it is going to be an activity event for them. So it's not to come and hang out. Is to come and take part in. So it may be that we have an escape room, it may be we have a climbing wall, it's going to be activity based. And Alice has got a whole pile of various things she's looking at yet, but we haven't got it absolutely down to the exact one that's going to be as yet. But I promise you, it's not a hanging out event, it's actually a get busy and come and do something rather than just hang around events. That really is what we're aiming to do, is provide something for the age group that haven't been accommodated this year by the other organisations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Yes, I don't think my hangout term was quite right there. Thank you.
And it's so we have the £9,000 in the youth revenue reserve. Obviously, this is not a £9,000 event, but committee have already agreed that that money will be used. FGP have already agreed that that money can be used to pump prime and to run some events. So that is coming from there. And the cost is going to be well under £1,000, but exactly how much it's going to be yet, I can't give you an exact figure. But we will bring that back to the next committee with a breakdown. Thank you, Alice.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
further questions? I personally think that's a great use of money to get the youth out and meeting up together and not sat in front of the TV. These gives them something to go and do, and let's hope for good weather for that one. Fingers crossed.
We've been blessed so far with our events in good weather, haven't we?
Oh yes, yeah. He's got live for us. Just needed a shower job. Okay, so thank you, Alice. Moving on, item 11, Queen's Walk. This is for noting. The report again is just for noting the forthcoming information has been difficult. We are pleased that the day-to-day contact of Ed is. As we have had contact with him over many years. However, he is not able to advise on the date of the opening of the toilets yet, which obviously we would all like to see open. So I know the town clerk's been working on that one to try and get that done. and Councillor Whitaker. And I know they have been doing a lot of work down there with the flower beds to make those a nicer place to walk past. So, but I know, Councillor Whitaker, you've got some comments.
I've been liaising with him fairly regularly, certainly on a weekly basis. I emailed him on Monday saying we've got public services this evening. What is the date of the opening of the toilets? He said it's imminent.
Okay.
However, I'm not sure if you, Town Clerk, have had any discussions with him about opening times, how they manage it, and the rest of it.
Waiting on everything at the moment, yeah.
All right. So the latest news is imminent, and I will be talking to them about the flower beds in particular. Could they facilitate the installation of a more ambitious set of planting, more in keeping with the top high street, and I'm hoping that they're going to work in close partnership with the Town Clerk and the Town Clerk's outside services team, potentially to on the arrangement that if they fund it, then the Town Services team may be able to facilitate. That's the discussion.
We've had no approach about that.
No, I know. I'm just tabling an early idea that what are the options that I will be discussing with them.
Fantastic.
Potentially.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so now moving on to, sorry, go on.
Who pays for the damage to the toilets? Who's the liability on for maintaining them and repairing them?
It's nothing. It's not us. It's not public. The toilets have been put in place by the developers, and they've been passed over to a management company. So the management company are responsible for the running of toilets, any damages will have to be repaired. Assumably there's insurance issues. And likewise, it's the vegetation, the flower beds that Councillor Whitaker's just referred to, and even the paving slabs. Everything, like nothing there is council owned. It's all private land, and will therefore have to be managed and looked after by the private company.
Did that answer your question, Councillor Amos? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so moving on to Queen Victoria Hospital. I know this has got lots of people talking about this one at the moment. This is just for noting at the moment. We are hoping to have the chairman, the new chairman of the trust here, hopefully on the next meeting. But the town clerk has been continuing to press on this and the assistance of the hospitals here in East Grinstead, and this is has been accepted as the underlying objective. So we as a town council want to have it, the hospital here, but ideally keeping the minor injuries unit here as a must, so that we've all got somewhere to go to get the hospital stable and for continuous growth and future within the town. The clerk is happy to take any questions, but the report does set out our current position on that at the moment. And as I said before, we're hoping that once they've got the new chair in, we can have that person at the next public services meetings. And does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask the town clerk on that? No? Okay. Moving on. Item 13, AG Health Network. This area of work has come out of the pandemic: loneliness, stress over losing jobs, lack of availability of doctor's appointments, etc. As a scheme of work, it's determined this will be moved to the community team, but at the moment the clerk is directly involved in the conversations. There has been no expense to town council, just officer time. The officers are keen to help promote the service and opportunities to address concerns before they become mental ailments needing attention. If anyone has any ideas as to the groups that need targeting, or indeed how targeting can be carried out, please do pass this on to the town clerk. I think this is a very useful piece of work. I know that lots of people have been affected by the pandemic and everything that's come out of it. So I'm happy that we carry on with that. Councillor Bennett, do you have a comment on that? Or
Chairman, I'm just so pleased to see this work taking place. It's so needed by our residents and community, and not only will they find support, but I think long term money will be saved before things escalate. And so I think there's a two-pronged support mechanism there. more than happy to help with anything, you know, attend any meetings or whatever. I'm fully available to support this.
Fantastic, thank you, Councillor Bennett. Anybody else? Councillor
It's just a couple of dates. I'm not sure if it's directly related to a report, but there's a couple of the Lions Club of Wisconsin are doing some screening days. The 25th of September is the diabetes screening, which will be at St Swithin's Hall.
Right.
Okay, so you have to pre-book. And also the 27th of November, it's the prostate cancer screening, which will be at Meridian Hall. That's an annual event they do. So it's just for noting, and if that can help publicise, because it's usually oversubscribed, certainly prostate cancer.
Brilliant, thank you, Councillor Whittaker. I know that you're scribbling away there, Town Clerk, so that will be out in the public domain. Right, moving on, public right of way. This is for us to consider and to make a decision on. So it's come to the committee as the council do not own the gates. The gate, I don't know if anybody knows what the gate we're talking about, but it's behind and runs beside the graveyard from the church entrance down to Church Clove Lane. The gate there has been stolen, we believe, one has been vandalised. So we don't own the gate, nor do we have any responsibility the right way. But it's clear that if we do not get involved as part of the town in the conservation area, it will only get worse for it. The recommendation is to pursue the idea of a project three-pronged with East Green Society and the church to really spruce up the area, provide the history, and hopefully it will not require further attention for many more decades. So I think that's a must. It's been there for many years. We have the gates, and we need to keep that area of the town looking nice, as it says, in the conservation area. So I would like to propose that. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Fantastic. Councillor Amos, I believe you have some questions.
Why don't we say no and then see whether or not the church and the East Grinstead Society will pick up the bill? Because they're obviously very keen on having this gate restored. And then if they go back and say, no, we're not interested in doing that, we'll just leave it as it is, then we should reconsider it. Why not allow them the opportunity to pick up the bills as opposed to just going immediately to pay for it?
I believe, and Town Clerk, please correct me if I'm wrong, the only cost to us would be materials to put it in the ground and our officers' time. We, the EG Society and the church would be looking to for the other costs. Am I correct?
Kind of. The gate itself, I'm suggesting, or has been proposed that that we do the refurb on it.
Right.
We are
So
doing,
the
that's
cost
going to be an ironmonger to try and bring it back into good use.
Right.
It's a bit worn. It's been in since 1977. It's a bit worn.
Okay, so it needs a
But
wash and brush.
we're not looking at doing any of the costs with regards to the kissing gate or the railings that run all the way along the churchyard. That's what we're asking the East Grinstead Society to look after. And we're not looking at doing anything with regards to financing the refurbishment of the arch. That's where we're asking St Swithin's to get involved. But the gate on the end is a little bit of an anomaly in that nobody owns it. Nobody has any responsibility for it. So the suggestion was that perhaps we got involved as that being our contribution to it. If committee are not minded to do so, then we'll obviously have to say to society we're not keen. So if you want to do it in society, you do it yourself. So
well, having visited the area myself, I do think we need to do something with it. I think it's a shame to leave the history part of it and the conservation part of it out, and for something that's not going to be huge cost, but something that we can stand proud and say we've done.
Chair, if I can just have one tiny little thing. One of the reasons I suggested that we put a plaque up to say who's done what is it must have taken me days, nigh on 2 weeks, to get to the bottom of how these things were initially put in place. And it took an awful lot. I mean, we were doing land registry searches, we were talking to the county council, the district council, the society, talking to so many different people, trying to establish who put it in before we actually established that it was put in for the 77 Jubilee. Right. And it took us a long time to get the information. Putting a plaque up and saying who it is that's done it
Yes.
actually might help in 20 years' time when it needs to be done again. Hopefully not 20 years' time, but let's be honest, it will be referring at some point, even if it's 40 years from now, at which point everyone will have forgotten who's done it. So it would be if we can point to who's done it, then again, there's an option of going back to the correct people and saying, society, would you pay for this? Church, would you pay for that? And asking the council if they might be interested in the gate.
And hopefully in time for the next Jubilee as well. Councillor Widscoe, I believe you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just for Councillor Amos's benefit, some things can't be measured in pure pounds, shillings and pence. This town council has had decades of partnership working with various groups within the town. St Swithin's Church is iconic, as you all know, Councillor Amos. The East Grinstead Society, many of their members are ex-town councillors. We have a long association, and I'm very proud of the triumvirate partnership that we've got. We've rebuilt the walls before your time, Councillor Amos, some 8, 9, 10 years ago. And it's just something you just can't put a price on, and I fully support this.
Thank you, Councillor Widscoe. I agree. Councillor Amos.
Does this not set a precedent that us picking up bills for things that are falling apart because they happen to be old? I'm not against the voluntary sector in any way. If they wish to pick up the bill, why not give them the opportunity to, as opposed to, I assume, us being the first port of call? I mean, if they're all town councils, they'll definitely know that we're likely to pay out. So why not say, no, not to pay for it, hope that they'll pay for it, and then if worse comes to worse, we can pay for it. Why not try and shift the liability from taxpayers onto people that actually want to see the gate restored, as opposed to simply assuming that everybody wants to see the gate restored?
Each public service item comes to us, so that's at the point where we can then say yes or no. This isn't the type of thing we should put money penny pinch on. This is something for the community and for the town, and something that's historical and something that I believe that we should be pushing for. The next thing that comes through comes to us, we may not agree on. We may decide that we shouldn't get involved in, but for this, I think that we should, and especially with the Queen's Jubilee coming up, the decision this was put in 1977, we should be doing it and helping out. Councillor Bennett, and you have a.
Thank you, Chairman. To echo and support Councillor Whitaker's remarks, of all the things that this town council should be doing, it's championing and carrying on the history of our town. That's what we're here for. And this is such an important area of our town. The history of that area is just crucial to maintain and to pass on to future generations, and to keep that area of the town looking as it is supposed to look. My concern is who is regularly inspecting those historical areas that we hold dear and making sure that they are in good repair and being looked after. And do the cameras in the town, are there anywhere that might pick up that area if it is prone to that kind of
I do believe there is a CCTV camera on that area.
Yeah,
so maybe that's something we can pick up with the.
I don't think it shows
that
far up the road. I think that's the problem. That the camera is on the high street, and it certainly won't show up as far as the corner.
So that's maybe something we can look at and report back on. Maybe if that's just to see who looks after those areas, or what CCTV we have coverage.
The comment as to who looks after it. Well, we have a conservation officer in the district council, and obviously the district council are very keen to ensure the conservation area is maintained and is looked after. I can report that I have contacted the conservation officer about the gate, and I haven't had a response, and that was probably 3 weeks ago. But having said that, I've answered my own questions by keep asking other people and finding out information. But I did ask the conservation officer who would be responsible for dealing with this if nobody owns it, which appears to be the case, but I haven't had an answer yet.
Can I thank the town clerk for her persistence with this, because it's crucial that we know the history of and why things were placed there and how they're going to be maintained. That is absolutely crucial. And I just wondered whether St Swithin's might have a caretaker who kind of regularly inspects the outer perimeters of St Swithin's. I know it's difficult, but just to keep a check on things, really.
Councillor Whitaker,
It's
please,
directly relevant to,
So, yeah, I was gonna say,
to councillor Ben's
please.
point. They have a regular working party within the churchyard, very active, and also of the building and any stoneworks and stuff like that. And also, to answer your first point about who looks, most members of East Grinstead Society are walking around all the time. They're our kind of volunteer policemen to look at things, and they will raise things. So they kind of are free volunteers that treat a sort of heritage policeman as well.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
Councillor Amos, I will allow a short question that
Yeah, it is actually a question as opposed to
a statement.
as opposed to a statement, yes. Is the gate actually unowned? Because from my understanding of law, something can't be unowned. And indeed, if it was unowned, if somebody tried to take it, it wouldn't be theft, it wouldn't be an issue. So is it just a case of we don't know who owns it? Or is it actually somehow unowned, in which case the theft wasn't right?
I believe it's a case of we just don't know whose responsibility it is. And is that right, Town Clerk?
We think that it was put in at the same time as the railings, which means it might have been the East Grinstead Society, or it might have been some other group in the town, but it's not owned as such. It's there, but it's like many things in the town, they're put in place and then they are expected to be looked after by somebody else. It tends to happen. Usually, obviously, you know, quite often it comes to us. But in this case, we've established, you can't establish who owns a gate. It's not a piece of land. There's no land registry for a gate. It's on the public right of way, and the gate itself is not owned by the Public Right of Way Authority, which is West Sussex County Council. The gate quite clearly was attempted to be taken away, potentially as scrap metal to be made money on. It's been ripped out of the ground, but because of the weight of it and the fact that the catches were welded onto the post, it wasn't possible to move it. Otherwise, that would have gone, and we would have lost it from the town altogether.
Councillor Mockford, I believe you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very, I wholeheartedly support anything to do with the heritage of this town, and I am grateful for everybody else who does. Yes, this will get me.
Fantastic. I think East Grinstead being such a historic town, if we don't look after our history, then making new history is going to be very difficult. So I think we need to protect what we have. So we've I proposed it. We have a second. Can we have a vote on that, please? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so this is the end of the committee's business. The date of the next meeting of the Public Services Committee will be Thursday, the 2nd of December. Thank you very much for your attendance. I declare the meeting closed at 7:55.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you all.
Right, so I got through the